No. So what is that? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So shall we go? Yeah. Okay, good. And let's see what we have here. Okay, good. Shall we start again? Okay, good. Okay. So we are now talking about the contemporary issues of the people management. Okay. And then yeah, we talk a lot of the external factors and something. And however, we will go to more detail about it, the people management side. Okay, in terms of the people management, the human resource management. Okay, and what is true, what is not true. Okay, so great resignation. Okay, and the great resignation versus high unemployment or the firing people. Okay, so here people keep your job because during the after the COVID-19 situation, and we are experiencing a lack of people, lack of the workforce. Do we need more human hands? Do we need more people in our workplace? On the other hand, there are a high unemployment rate, young adults, especially in China, and what is happening, and many technology companies are now firing a lot of people. Okay, and what the hell is happening? So then, great resignation or the unemployment. What is true? What is not true? Okay, so as a people management, people as a manager of the people managing something, okay, we need to have a better understanding. Okay, then let's see what is now happening. 4 billion American workers quitting in September.
This is me.
My name is Andrew. I'm an ICU nurse.
Deciding pay was important, and if I ever wanted to make more money, I had to get into a different career.
Over 47 million Americans quit their jobs in 2021, more than any other year on record. And as resignation rates remain high, early 2022, we're left to ask, is this a temporary spike due to the pandemic, or is this a greater shift in the way we view work?
The term "the Great Resignation," the story behind it originates in late 2020. A reporter reached out to me who was writing a story on what's the best way to quit your job. When we finished talking about it, I said this would be an important article to write because I think there's going to be a wave of resignation or a great resignation as this country emerges from the pandemic.
The pandemic radically changed how Americans work. Homes turned into offices, and frontline workers were forced to risk their health for a paycheck. But in terms of quitting, the 2021 rates were actually in line with a trend that's been growing for a decade, before plummeting during the pandemic. If you couple that with a rapid economic rebound, how much of the Great Resignation is an outcome of economic trends versus a fundamental change in how we work?
On the one hand, it's very high. On the other hand, it isn't remotely surprising it is free. The federal government spent trillions of dollars. That generated the most incredible recovery from the pandemic.
This is a massive, ambitious plan, nearly $2 trillion in relief.
The Great Resignation is now almost booming business, and the economy is doing well, and firms have to fight hard to keep employed.
I think that working from home was a kickstarter for the Great Resignation. If you're leaving a job previously, that means uprooting.
But now you toss one laptop to the side and then bring in a new one and you're logging into a new portal.
So that barrier to entry for transition to jobs has changed.
Why and how people work is complex. In late 2020, Professor Klotz saw the Great Resignation coming, and he noticed 4 signals that Americans were ready to follow. The first was a backlog of resignations. During the pandemic, most Americans paused any plans to leave their job.
Once the threat of the pandemic started to lift, it made sense to me that many of these individuals would enact their plans to quit their jobs.
The second was widespread burnout. The pandemic left Americans in every industry exhausted.
In many cases, the cure for burnout is getting away from that which causes the burnout.
Third signal was the effect of people reevaluating what work meant to them.
The quote I kept hearing was that going into the pandemic, I rearranged my whole life to fit my work. Coming out of the pandemic, I want work to fit around my life. And in many cases, those would involve a job change or a career change.
The final signal was remote work. Before the pandemic, only 15% of people worked from home. And since then, 50% of jobs have some work from home.
And it seemed like there was a big disconnect there between what employees, what workers wanted, and what organizational leaders were hoping would happen coming out of the pandemic.
Great Resignation impacted almost all areas of work. The effects have been felt most among frontline workers, those who continue to work in person during the pandemic, even grocery stores, restaurants, and hospitals run.
It's really interesting for the individuals who have in-person work that are not able to switch to remote work. I think those individuals felt especially unfairly treated by the pandemic because not only did they have to work in person, but they also saw another half of the population who were working remotely.
Frontline workers have faced the reality of the pandemic head-on, while providing the country with the essential resources to make it through this. Overall, those jobs pay less than the jobs from home. But the labor market has shifted. Unemployment is low, and frontline workers have more say in where they work.
From 1980 to 2019, for the last 40 years, we've seen a continual increase in pay rates of high earners, graduates, professionals. The low earners have been flat. For the first time maybe in decades, they can say, look, I can quit my job, easily find another job, and get a pay increase at the same time. And in fact, that's why they're quitting. People aren't quitting mainly because, they're dissatisfied with their current jobs. They're generally quitting to get another job.
The Great Resignation isn't simply about people quitting. It's a shift in how they live. Working from home is supposed to be a short-term precaution. But months turned into years. People adapted to a new way of life.
Something that's really been interesting over the past couple of years during the pandemic, you've seen remote work go from the margins into the mainstream. And data on LinkedIn is showing us that 1 in 7 jobs that are being posted right now have a remote or hybrid work component.
In March of 2020, that number was 1 in 67.
Over the 2 years of the pandemic, working from home has gone from being a necessity, provide social distancing to something now that seems to become the future of the labor market is essential to retain and hire work. Nobody actually is going that. I mean, I'm not aware of anyone successfully got professionals back 5 days a week. I don't think it will happen.
53% of folks that we surveyed say that now they are putting more focus, more emphasis on their own mental health and well-being. Remote work allows them to do that and gives that flexibility. So organizations and leaders need to be very intentional about how they're building this new future of work.
A lot of these assumptions that we had before the pandemic, we were forced to go to remote work. And a lot of those assumptions were tested, and in many cases, they didn't hold up to scrutiny.
Most folks are always going to be resistant to change. Again, there's so much for us to work.
a bit of a golden age of business experimentation. The exciting thing is that the 9 to 5 work week is not going to be replaced by some other single type of work arrangement. What it's being replaced by is an almost infinite number of work arrangements.
The pandemic opened the door for a massive shift in how people work and how companies handle the return of lasting impacts on who stays and works.
So regularly cautioning companies to avoid making decisions just among senior executives. So we see quite a large variation in how much people want to work from home by age, by gender, whether it's by race, by commute time, by disability status.
One reason that I believe the Great Resignation, or that article around the Great Resignation back in May of 2021 went viral, is because it was tapping into a conversation that was happening just below the surface. And it gives us this opportunity to really question the fundamental way that we work with employees in 2019 and say, how do we fix this? Hopefully lower these turnover rates back down to where they were maybe 10 years ago.
Okay, so this is the case of the Great Resignation. Okay, however, so recently we have more situation of this.
Welcome to this DW Business Special, asking what the big tech jobs cull means for Silicon Valley. To answer that question, and there will be many others, I'm joined by Wall Street tech analyst Dan Ives. Dan, it's great to have you with us. Thanks so much for being here.
Great to be here, thanks.
I mean, these are tough times to be working in big tech, aren't they?
Look, I mean, tech firms were spending like 1980s rock stars for the last decade, and now we've done hyper growth. The clock struck midnight. You're starting to see cuts across the board, and that's what Wall Street wants to see. So we're clearly going through some pain in big tech. You know, I'd say it's similar to what we saw in 2009, 2010 in terms of some of those layoffs.
That's what I want to get into with you actually, is about the precedent for this. So let's just talk through some of the numbers to start with, because 2023 is proving a rough one if you work in the tech sector, with tens of thousands of job losses announced by the industry's biggest players already. Let's take a look at a few of those. First off, Microsoft has said that it's slashing its global workforce by 10,000 as it reacts to a drop in spending on gadgets. Times are tough and tech isn't a priority, it would appear. Google is shedding 12,000 staff, blaming what it calls a new economic reality in the wake of the pandemic. Amazon is laying off the biggest number of people. It kicked off the year saying 18,000 jobs would go. Meanwhile, towards the end of 2022, Facebook owner Meta said it was terminating the jobs of 11,000 staff. Then I counted around about 50,000 jobs being shed there, but I did read earlier that there's something like 200,000 jobs have gone in tech since the start of last year. Have we experienced anything on this scale?
Look, I think if you look during the pandemic, these companies were spending at a pace that was really unsustainable and historic. I mean, Microsoft added 75,000 employees in 2019 because of the demand environment. So we're in unprecedented territory, but I also do believe for tech, they're cutting costs in a lot of areas, non-strategic, but they're still going to invest in a lot of next-gen areas. Cloud, look at ChatGPT for Microsoft, look at some of these other areas across what I believe Apple, Amazon. So I do believe that's the sort of theme that we're going to see over the coming months and years.
I think one thing we should discuss is whether or not the tech firms should have seen this coming. I mean, you talk about the enormous number of people that they took on during the course of the pandemic. Did they really believe that the conditions that were there during the pandemic were going to continue up until this point?
Look, I think that's going to be a debate. Did they misjudge what the demand environment was going to be? Clearly, on the COVID overhang, post-pandemic, you're going to see a major drop-off in demand. I think a lot of these companies were not quick enough to act. Now you're starting to see them rip the Band-Aid off. I think some did maybe more prudent, like an Apple, that's a good example. But others, I think, were spending aggressively, and investors were fine with it. But now that environment is strictly changed on Wall Street, and that's a big, I think, sort of headline here, as these tech firms navigate a very uncertain 2023.
Things are very uncertain, and actually, it's not a great time to be entering the jobs market, is it? These tens of thousands of people, particularly with cost of living being an issue in so many different places. But the jobs market must be getting pretty congested now in Silicon Valley.
I think it's congested, but I do believe, especially engineers, software developers, who specialize in marketing, they're gonna have, I think, many choosers, in terms of the opportunities, because one company's lost is another's gain. You go back to other periods, and I've covered tech since the late 90s, you go through 2002, 2003, a lot of companies that would come out today, the behemoths, and they were able to really hire significantly during those periods. 09, 2010, same. So who could be the next Facebook, the next Amazon? I think that's going to create opportunities to those companies that are able to operate.
In a memo to staff, Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella said they were living in times of significant change, with customers who accelerated their digital spending during the pandemic now spending less on tech, or as he puts it, optimizing their digital spend. Meanwhile, Sundar Pichai told Google employees that over the past 2 years, the company saw periods of dramatic growth. To match that growth, it hired, or as he puts it, for a different economic reality than the one that we face today. I think basically what you can read into that is that they need less staff now than they needed during the course of the pandemic, also, or at least temporarily pulling back on some of the big bets that they've made in the past few years. So the strategies the tech industry appears to be leaving behind include AR, augmented reality, and VR, virtual reality, with Microsoft reportedly scrapping its HoloLens virtual reality headset. Then Amazon says it's firing people in its home devices business, including their Alexa voice assistant range. Netflix is cutting back on content spending to reduce costs. Meanwhile, the glut of tech bought in the pandemic has meant the likes of PCs or Peloton bikes are no longer being bought in large numbers. So where do tech firms think the future lies then? Well, Meta is still committing billions to virtual reality despite other cutbacks. Others cutting back indeed, sorry. Apple is looking at bringing in the making of more of the technology for its computers and phones in-house. Meanwhile, the biggest battleground does appear to be artificial intelligence, with Microsoft investing $10 billion in the firm OpenAI has just emerged, with hopes of challenging Google's dominant position in research. Let's bring Dan Ives back in. Is GPT chatbot, that company is Open Waves, is artificial intelligence. That is because Microsoft has said it is investing $10 billion in the company behind the successful GPT chatbot. That company is OpenAI, believes that AI can help boost its search engine and even take on Google's dominance. Meanwhile, Google's actually been working on its own AI tools, which it's yet to make available to the public. In fact, AI is already helping banks to detect fraud, logistics companies to reduce disruption, and of course, for apps to suggest new content. Bring Dan Ives back in. Is dominance of...
Okay, so then maybe we can talk more about this, okay, in terms of the people. And meanwhile, okay, so we are experiencing the shorthand of the certain business industries, okay, and however, recently, many of the technology companies, like a big, large companies, okay, so those are that was started by Twitter. Elon Musk fired many people, okay, that was inspired, and that is started, and that was contagious to the Meta, Microsoft, Google, and many Silicon Valley companies are now firing a lot of people. And originally, there was a reason, because their business was changed, and many consumer behaviors was totally changed after the endemic. Okay, so because of the COVID situation is over, okay, so anybody is now coming back to the real world. So then the many body is not coming to the online, but however they come back to the real world, and many offline work is coming back, so that many consumer behaviors is changing. So they started to fire unnecessary employees like the non-strategic staff members, HR. HR is not part. HR. And the operations and the marketing and those guys, unnecessary supporting functions, guys lost their job, they laid off. It's not true. And the CEOs and the many business leaders, they said they lay off those unnecessary staff members. They are not strategic. Actually, no. They fired tons of thousand engineers for strategy employees too. Oh yeah, saying is one thing, but reality is another thing. Who is the core talent? Who is the core people who must keep their job? Is okay, so maybe we can talk about that. Okay, so we will learn about it, the human factor theory. Okay, so yeah, maybe I can talk with more detail. However, we have Lupa and Snell's HR architecture. So there's a scarcity, and then the value. Okay, so in terms of the human capital, human is capital, okay, human is capital, whatever. So then there must be the high, low, high, high, low, high, low. Okay. So maybe we can understand that there are four different types of the human capital. That means, okay, and somebody has a very high scarcity, very rare, okay, and then they usually create the more value, very high value. Why? And then there must be the scarcity, and there is a low value, okay, and then low scarcity, low value, something. Who is that? How we can deal with that? And the high value and the low scarcity, how we can deal with this. Okay, so we will learn about this kind of things in terms of the human capital. But however, these guys who has a high scarcity and a high value, we must keep them within the organization. We think so. Okay, and then many times CEOs and the business leaders say, "Oh, you are our core talent. You are our most important employee." And who are they? Who are those most important talent for the company in general? R&D engineer, staff member, marketing, frontline sales. And many times, they say engineers or the R&D or the developers or those guys, okay? And those smart guys must be most valuable person who are totally scarce, scarce and rare, and most creating the value. But however, the engineers get more salary than any others. Engineers keep their job. No. Okay? Absolutely no. So actually the Lupang and Snell, and they are the New Jersey State University professors and the Locust University. And I had a talk with them at the conference, okay, Lupang and Snell. And they propose this kind of architecture, okay? Engineers have the high scarcity and something. But however, I was an engineer. And I told the truth, what is happening at the real world. And then we talk and we debate, we fight each other. Okay? No. Possibly, engineers may create the high value and then the scarcity is not very scarce. We can replace the another engineers quickly. Because at the 40 years or the 50 years old engineers, we can quickly replace them with the young graduates. And our technology is not that difficult. And the technology is always advancing and changing over time. We better to keep the more fresh blood. Now, not scarce. How do we create more value? Okay? And then let's see, scarce, okay, very rare. However, their value is not very high. The best example is accountant. Finance accountant. And do we need accountant every day? No. When we need accountant? Yeah, in the tax season, we have a season. Oh, so absolutely, the scarcity will be very high, but they are creating a very good value something. No, I don't think so. We just need the accountant in a short time. Okay, we pay more because they are rare. However, they do not help me to create more value. We just need them. Okay, good. And then the scarce is low and the value is low and the Mac job or gig economy, McDonald's job, okay, and the restaurant workers, and the supply chain truck drivers, and many media workers, and the cleaners, and the janitors. Okay, and traditional, the bank job or the many dirty work, janitor, cleaners, okay, and the many other the media workers or labor workers. Okay, so they usually got a low salary, low wage, and they usually have a very we think we have abundance of the people who can do that. However, so that many times we want to avoid this kind of things. Okay, and many times we just make a content and then reduce the cost of something. Replace this work with the machines or the artificial intelligence. Okay, and okay, we will talk about that. However, what happened in the Great Resignation? Something during the pandemic. What kinds of human hands we need more? We need more janitor. We need more restaurant worker. We need more gig economy and the gig delivery guys, and we need more truck drivers. For example, why we have a totally broken global supply chains during the pandemic? Because we didn't have enough number of the truck drivers. Why we didn't have enough number of the truck drivers? Because many truck drivers, they are old. They're over the 50 years or 60 years. And however, once they got infected the COVID-19, they have a risk. And then they travel all around the world. And then, however, in the situation, they can get help? No. So that they have a lot of money. Fortunately, they usually got a lot of pay. Okay? And they work. But however, they work more than 16 hours. Every day they drive. They make money, but however, they couldn't get the support. So then they have a dilemma. Drive, work, and take a risk of dying, or stay at home. And their choice was staying at home. They're holding up. They have economic stability. Then many businesses, we produce many kinds of the product and then we send it and we export it to the US. But however, in the US, no truck driving. So then all the inventories and the storages and the logistics were totally broken. That is the reason why we have a lot of inflation on the salary or the product and something. Everything get expensive because of the delivery cost. Simply because we didn't have enough number of the truck drivers. And then, yeah, many restaurant workers, they quit their job, and then many servants, they quit their job. And then that is the reason why we inflate and why we increase the tips and why we increase the price of the service. Everything is getting more expensive because that the people price is getting more expensive. Because these guys, they didn't come back. They resigned. They didn't come back. And can we say that, okay, this domain, we call this as HR architecture. 1, 2, 3, and the fourth domain. The fourth domain, the low scarcity and the low value job must be terminated and must be ignored and must be controlled and then must be reduced something? No. We get to know that job is important and that job cannot be replaceable, unfortunately. Okay, so then the traditional HR architecture framework need to be adjusted or changed in terms of the different situation. Okay, that is the reason why we have a totally different managing paradigms nowadays. On the other hand, who are the most scarce and who create the most value? Who is the core talent in an organization? Who is this? High-rank managers and high-rank executives, not middle levels, who have decided their salary. They think they are very important. They think they are very cool. They think they never lay off themselves. They will never fire themselves. Who will fire the people? Decision makers. Who are the decision makers? Exactly. Hiring managers. They think they are precious. They are most important. They are most unreplicable or unreplaceable individuals. Do you think so? Do you think so? Your goals and your CEOs and your executives is creating the highest value for your company? And those executives or those stockholders, those biggest stockholders, shareholders, they have a right to gain that and privatize almost all the profit. This is the problem. Nowadays, especially in the capitalist economy. Privatize and who gained it more benefit? When a company make a lot of the money, who got the benefit? Stakeholders, shareholders, employees, shareholders, 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 just the shareholders? No, CEOs, executives. CEOs, executives privatize their benefit. But while nowadays the bank is in trouble, okay? Okay, Silicon Bank Bank, okay? Silicon Valley Bank, SVB. Okay, so maybe you can see this. This is not happening. when there was a start. Okay, good.
Silicon Valley Bank is no more.
And in the last 24 hours, many founders, investors that I've talked to have been desperately trying to get their money out.
Our banking system is in a fundamentally different place than it was, a decade ago.
And the economists are now asking the Fed will hit pause on further rate increases. The question now, though, is whether the collapse of this tech-friendly regional bank is the start of something more serious, or just what happens when higher interest rates give companies less room for error. Silicon Valley Bank wasn't like other banks. It dealt primarily with startups, tech companies, and venture capital investors who funded those kinds of businesses.
Not only does Silicon Valley Bank, or did Silicon Valley Bank provide services to tech startups, they provided financial services to big tech, to venture capital firms, and even the individual GPs and high net worth individuals that often made their money from tech would use Silicon Valley Bank in multiple ways.
Startups are a risky bet in the best of times, but when interest rates start moving up, they get even riskier. Interest rates represent the cost of borrowing money, and fast-growing tech companies need to borrow a lot of money to keep growing. And in some cases, can stay alive before their business models start turning a profit. And with the Fed hiking interest rates in order to fight inflation, that means riskier areas of the financial system, like crypto and tech, are probably getting hit the hardest.
This is really a story of an entire regional banking system that was in peril. And the canary in the coal mine may have been Silicon Valley Bank. And we're gonna investigate. There could be plenty of things that all of these banks did wrong. But this parabolic move in rates, right, really dismantled the hold to maturity portfolios of these banks.
Startup clients need cash to shore their local high interest rates. So they started withdrawing money at Silicon Valley Bank. At the same time, Silicon Valley Bank's reserves were also vulnerable to interest rates. The bank's reserves were mostly backed by U.S. government bonds, but
Okay, so here, maybe you can hear that. Okay, all the Silicon Valley Bank, all that kinds of things is backed by Federal Reserve Bank. Okay, and then maybe you can hear the social something.
wasn't seeing that many deposits leave, but it still received new liquidity from the Fed and JP Morgan just to be safe.
Americans can have confidence that the banking system is safe.
Longer term,
Banking system is safe because that is backed by the society, that is backed by the 100%, the Federal Reserve Bank, and that is totally backed by the social. Okay, and who failed the business? Silicon Valley Bank. They failed the business. Okay, that is the reason why they do not have enough money to back up the customers have here. Okay, and however, when they make money, who got the benefit? CEOs, executives, and the Silicon Valley Bank. Or however, who is now backing up those kind of the lost money? Society? While many owners, the businesses, many executives, managers, high-level managers, executives, they privatize their benefit when they make money. However, when that kind of things is get bad, business, okay, if the businesses get bad, that's backed by, that's recovered by the public money from people. Oh, that's our money. Tax. That's our money. That's government money. That's your money. And however, those high-level managers and the executives, what they did, they ran away.
To get their money out.
Our banking system is
Desperately trying to get their money out.
our banking.
What did you hear? This guy, the CEO of the Grab Hacker, Silicon Valley Bank CEO, he took out his money from the bank and he ran away. Is it okay? Okay.
been desperately trying to get their money out.
Our banking,
Sure. And then that's backed by the society. Okay, so we have a problem of this. Zombie businesses. For zombie, we will have a lot of zombie businesses, zombie organizations, zombie banks, a lot. However, why we keep those kind of them? Because of the and however, this is a reality, a theory. That's here, that's here. No, that's a reality, okay? And however, in reality, we get to know this kind of the undervalued and the under scarcity, very big, replicable, or the very linear jobs are quite. We need more hands in here. And who is now losing their jobs? Oh, interesting. The reality in the business is somewhat different from the theories from our general belief. So that is the reason why the business problem solvers, we should know something. Okay, so that is now happening in the business world in terms of the people management. Okay, good. Then we keep going. And recently, this is very interesting phenomena. Hungry? Do we have this problem in China? Do we have this problem? Really? Is this a problem? Why? Is it a problem? Why this is a problem? People do not want to work. People don't want to work. Why this is a problem? This is a social problem. This is a business problem. This is a problem of the business. This is a problem for business. This is a problem for society. Why this is matter? Does it matter? And however, we have another phenomena. Okay, that is that we have another word. Okay. Quiet quit or quiet quitting. Okay. So quiet quitting is not quit their job. They stay in the organization, but however they don't work. They don't work. They don't work. They pretend they work, but however actually they don't work. That's a quiet quit. Really. And maybe you can tell there are tons of thousands of people who don't work, who don't work in the workplace. Okay, and that is not a new problem. Okay, and actually this is a problem of the engagement, employee engagement. Employee engagement is an error. Okay, engagement. Okay, so employee engagement. Okay, so then can you guess, okay, so how many percent of the people are engaged in their work? Okay, so we have a difference of the Western world and the Eastern world. And we have statistics, Gallup statistics, employee engagement, percent, how many percent of people are working in the workplace? Yes. Maybe we take a seat, I don't know. Sunny. How many percent of people are working and engaging in their work? Okay, and then maybe you can understand like this. People are not working in the workplace. We call they are zombies. Zombies. I have no idea. Zombie. Okay, how many percent of people are working as a leading employee, leading human beings, and how many percent of people are zombie employees? We have a statistic. Yes. How many percent of people are zombie employees? How many percent are real human beings who are really engaging in their work? Huh? 30% of people are working. Not okay. So 30. 50, 20, 20. Oh, almost right. Almost right. Okay. In the Western world, that's around the 32, 35%, and the Eastern world, 25 to 30%. Really? 30. Okay. Only 3 out of 10. Only 30%, only 3 out of 10 are working in the workplace. And the 70% of people are. Oh, that's a statistics, and throughout for more than 25 years, Gallup investigate and report the employee engagement ratio. You can find it, and you can find out, okay? Employees. We have tons of thousands of people who don't want to engage in their work. And more actively, people not to work. That's a quiet quitting. They pretend they are in the organization, but however they don't. We call that is a quiet quitting. And however, if they don't do anything and then we're desperate. Sure. So that's the problem. Okay, what would be happening if we have more talented people in the young adults who don't want to work? Or, and absolutely, who need to? They need to die. Can we kill them? Then they need to survive, and who need to pay for the cost of their living? Society. We cannot do that. It's society. No, okay, good. And moreover, when young generation don't want to work, how can we get the more workforce? What will be happening if we don't have enough number of the labor work? Labor costs will be like the truck drivers. Sure. Absolutely. We need more quality people who want to work. Okay, that's a competition, and then we can reduce the cost when there is a competition of the job. Okay, maybe we can manage the cost of the labor cost. But however, if we do not have enough number of the people, enough number of the really people who want to work, and that's a problem. And absolutely, that is not only for the social problem, that is becoming a business problem. Okay. And for example, okay, nowadays, yeah, this is another very interesting subject. So are you Wenjo local? Wenjo? Are you 100% Wenjo? Okay, good. However, good. Wenjo? No, Liaoning. Okay. Huh? Xinjiang? Oh, really? Okay, good. And Wenjo people, okay, so let's think of this. Wenjo city is now attracting the good talent outside of the Wenjo, or we are losing our best talent to the outside of the Wenjo. For example, scientists, engineers, and business guys. We are losing. Okay? For example, this is Wenjo Ken University, and the Ken University. Okay, so absolutely we produce a very good business talent. Okay, and then they graduated school and they went to the good graduate programs all around the world. Okay, and we expect they come back. and they work for the Wenzhou. How many percent of our people come back to Wenzhou? And I just collected some data. Only the Wenzhou local. Okay, how many percent of Wenzhou local students coming back to the Wenzhou city after their studies outside of the China? Yeah, they go to Shanghai, Hangzhou, Shenzhen, Beijing, and then they do not come back to China. So no more than 20%. Okay? No. Only those who have their family business. And then if their family business is getting bigger and the better, they usually move to Shanghai, Hangzhou. So Wenzhou is now losing its Sure. This is another problem of brain drainage in terms of the community. And then maybe we can extend that to the national level. So China is now gaining more talent or losing their talent. Okay, for example, artificial intelligence. How many scientists and engineers who has a artificial intelligence degree, artificial intelligence PhDs, Chinese scientists and engineers who has a PhD in artificial intelligence, they work in China, they want to work outside of China. Why? Why China is losing a lot of good talent? Why Wenzhou lose a lot of the big good talent? Because of, okay, money is one thing, and reputation, environment, high tech. Why high tech is matter? Why people don't come back to Wenzhou? Why people don't come back to China? Opportunity, business opportunity? Huh? Company culture, toxic culture. Why we have that kinds of toxic culture? Again, those kind of the brain drainage, talent losing, talent gaining, and then those are all related with business management, especially for the management. That's our work. And who are responsible for this kind of things? Pumping, motivating people, brain drainage, and pilot feeding, employee engagement. Why we have zombie employees? Who are responsible for that? But however, many managers because they are lazy. Okay, many people just blame these victims. Simply because anybody talks about, okay, so simply because they are totally lazy, they are totally stupid, they are totally. Well, however, have you ever listened to them? Have you ever listened to the thanking individuals? We have a lot of reports why they get thanked, why they lose their motivation to get back to work. There are a lot of psychological and the physical or the social problem. And yeah, I am working with the students to address this problem. And then we are now applying a very interesting concept of this. Well, the helplessness. Even though they try several times, even though they try many times, even though they try something, even they try many times something, okay, they got there. And then they learn it's impossible to get better. And then they realize that their choice. Who made that? Oh yeah, absolutely. There are a lot of issues. But however, who is responsible for fixing the problem to address these issues. Psychologists, government can do something for that. I hope what they need. What those kind of people need. They need what? They need support. They need money. No, they need a chance. They need a job. And when we carefully listen to their voice, they want to work. However, we do not provide them on. Work. They are not lazy. But they tried many times, but however, they don't get the sufficient funding. Simply, more than 70 or 80% of those people, they choose not to do anything because they totally got emotion, psychological. They tried separate time. They tried many times. Sure. So fundamental solution for this kind of the people problem is we do better to let them have the proper job. And who create a job? Government create a job. What business create a job? I think so. So that is the reason why we need to talk about this kind of things in the people management and the human resources in business. Because they want to get a good job. Okay, they want to work. But however, simply they got hurt and they need something else. And then can we help them out? That's our work. Okay, and nowadays we have this kind of situation. And then let's see, this is our work or this is not our work. See? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, that happens. So yeah, according to social media and the many public and many people, urges, okay, so that car was banned to the gas station or something. But however, who is responsible for addressing this problem? This is a problem or not a problem? Okay. And however, anytime when this kind of things is happen, what is the reaction of the manager of that gas station? Oh, we have this word in the business. Christine, shut up. That's her job. And that must be the many customer, many managers of reaction. Okay. And then we call those kind of things as a emotional work. Okay. But however, this is happening. This is happening a lot. This is happening a lot. Okay. And many managers may have choice. And many majority of the managers want to hide this, and then, oh yeah, because customers cannot do anything. And then that's not, and she's just a she's just a new worker, and she's a temporary worker, and then we cannot do anything. It happens a lot, possibly, okay? But however, what will happen on the employee? Not good. Okay, anyway. So there is another reaction, possibly, okay? As a manager, we can have another reaction. And that was happened a few years ago in Beijing. Okay, April, okay, so Shunfeng Express, when was slashed by a customer like this, okay? In here to the Beijing and Wang Wei, the CEO of the Shunfeng Express, okay, and then said on his Twitter account that okay, Wang Wei, the CEO, and then he would not be qualified to be the company's CEO if he is unable to compensate. And then he lied to the Beijing, and he with the employee, and he fought against with the customer. Oh, that's very seldom. That's very seldom. However, the CEO of the Shunfeng, he did that. And what happened at the Shunfeng employees and the Shunfeng people? Absolutely, they suffer. That's a motivation. Well, managers, that's a choice. That's a manager's choice. Oh, absolutely. As a manager, you can make a choice. Yeah, simply because customer is king. Okay, please. That's one thing. Okay, and I will fight against with you. That's all I'm saying. That's a manager's work. That's manager's choice. What would be a good choice? It depends. It depends on the situation. The situation is totally complex. Okay, that's however, maybe you'd better to think about this. You always can make a choice. According to your choice, consequences will be differentiating. It's okay. But however, which one is better? No, depends. But one thing is clear: the choice should be made by manager. You don't blame your employee. That's your work. That's our work to make a choice. Protect my employee or to protect my customer. Okay, good. So far, that is the contemporary issues of the management and especially for the people management, human resource management. Okay, so we will go detail about it, the people management from now on. Then maybe we can listen to something from a CEO of the Apple. Okay, so then, so until 3:30. So we end up our class 3:30. Okay, so then we'd better to have a break or the go forward. 10 minutes break? That's okay. Okay, so 10 minutes break. Okay, so 10 minutes break, and then we will finalize. Sorry. Okay, so let's have a 10 minutes break, and then let's go continue. Okay, and then we will listen to the Steve Jobs, and he's talking about how he managed people at the Apple, and that will give us a lot of insight about how to manage people. Okay, good, and let's have a 10 minutes break. Okay. What? Good, 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 good. Let's see. Is it working or not working? Hello, are you there?
Yeah, it's working. It's working.
Okay, good. Okay, so yeah, let's continue. So we are talking about the contemporary issues of the management, and we are talking a little about the contemporary issues of the people management. Okay, including Tangping, zombies. Unfortunately, that's our situation. That's our reality. Okay, so in order to manage people, okay, there are traditionally we think that the HR is a supporting functions. HR is a supporting function, and then maybe you usually have interactions with the HR guys to get a salary, to talk about the job, and to talk about the working conditions, to talk about the rotations, and to talk about the personal matters. Okay, and that's the traditional functions of the human resource management. Okay. However, nowadays many things are now changing. Okay, and you are now becoming a manager, business problem solver. Okay, and technical things like the HR supporting functions have a trend of something that's changing. Okay, and however, a long story short, nowadays traditional HR functions like compensation or the recruiting, documentation work, or the tax something, salary work is outsourcing. It's outsourced, okay? And even the extreme case is Netflix. Many technology companies like Netflix, do you know the Netflix? Oh, Netflix do not have an HR department. No HR. No HR. In the Netflix and the many technology companies, okay? The 100% there is no HR. Really, no HR. It's okay because that can be outsourced to outside of the company. However, okay, managing people and then dealing with people is getting more important. That's a new trend because there is a trend of the HR, people management is getting more strategic. Okay, so that maybe we can learn this kind of the ideas managing people in a totally different way in business world. Maybe we can listen that kinds of things from the Steve Jobs, even though he passed away a few years ago, and maybe we can learn from him how he manage people in contemporary business environment, in contemporary business organization.
Apple's incredibly collaborative company. And
okay,
keys to Apple is Apple's an incredibly collaborative company. And so, you know how many committees we have at Apple?
No,
0. We have no committees.
no committee.
We are organized like a startup. One person's in charge of iPhone OS software. One person's in charge of Mac hardware. One person's in charge of iPhone hardware engineering. Another person's in charge of worldwide marketing. Another person's in charge of operations. We're organized like a startup. We're the biggest startup on the planet. And we all meet for 3 hours once a week, and we talk about everything we're doing, the whole business. And there's tremendous teamwork at the top of the company, which filters down to tremendous teamwork throughout the company. And teamwork is dependent on trusting the other folks to come through with their part without watching them all the time, but trusting that they're going to come through with their parts. And that's what we do really well. And we're great at figuring out how to divide things up into these great teams that we have and all work on the same thing, touch bases frequently, and bring it all together into a product. We do that really well. And so what I do all day is meet with teams of people and work on ideas and solve problems, to make new products, to make new marketing programs, whatever it is.
And are people willing to tell you you're wrong?
Yeah.
I mean, other than snarky journalists, I mean, people.
Oh, yeah, no, we have wonderful arguments.
And you win them all?
Oh, no, I wish I did. Because you can't. If you want to hire great people and have them stay working for you, you have to let them make a lot of decisions, and you have to be run by ideas, not hierarchy. The best ideas have to win. So otherwise, good people don't stay.
But you must be more than a facilitator who runs meetings. You obviously contribute your own ideas.
I contribute ideas, sure. Why would I be there if I did?
Okay. Yep. This is that. Oops.
Did Leonardo have a gun?
One of the, let them make a lot of decisions, people don't stay.
But you must be more than a facilitator.
Not hierarchy. The best ideas have to win. So otherwise, good people don't.
Yeah, that is Steve Jobs' talk. That's how he managed people at Apple. And do you know who proposed that the first personal computer in the world? Personal computer? Steve Jobs. 1974, Apple One is the first personal computer. And do you know who invented the mouse? Mouse. That mouse. Who invented that? Steve Jobs, Apple. And who invented the touch screen button? Jobs. And then the Apple. And then who invented the smartphone? Okay, throughout more than 40 years, Apple is the leader and Apple is the innovator. Apple is the leading company in innovation. Okay, so then how Apple can do this? How Apple people can do that? How Apple bring their best ideas and how Apple make the so for example, mobile phone. Okay, and then the mobile phone, the market share. What is the market share of the mobile phone now? Which one is the largest mobile phone producer in the world now? Yeah, go to the internet, go to the ChatGPT, u.com. Okay, maybe u.com is working. U.com, you know? Yeah, that's like a u.com. And however, u.com is also integrating the artificial intelligence. That's working, right? Okay, so then can you try the u.com? There is another Google like or the something u.com. U.com. That's working? Oh, yeah. U.com. So okay, so yeah, maybe you can try that. U.com. Not Google. U.com is also provided the basic intelligence, artificial intelligence. U.com. That's working?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. So in China, that's working. So then maybe you can input that. You can input that. What is the market share of the mobile? Market share of the what is the market share of the global mobile phone? Means which company has the largest share? Oh. Yeah, something like that. Okay. So how many percent? What is the market share? It's around 30%? 32%. Okay. 22. Okay. Okay. Samsung. 22. Okay. Who's next? Apple. 19. Okay. Another. After. Xiaomi. 17. 13. Who else? Oppo, Vivo. Okay, and then Oppo is 10, 9, 9. Vivo, 9. And Huawei, 9, 9, 8, 6, 6%, 9%, 8%, 6%. Okay, good. Anybody else? Lenovo? 3, 5, 3%. Anybody else? LG? No, LG stopped. LG gone. 2 years ago, LG just terminated their mobile business. Okay, around. Something like that. Okay. So because there is a different categorization something, okay? So that's just a reference, around. Okay? So this is a situation. And absolutely, Apple is not a number one company in market share. But however, in terms of the profit, okay, margin, okay? So what is the Apple's margin of the mobile phone? Can you ask it again? Margin. Margin of the Apple, margin of the Samsung, fundamentally different. What's the margin of the Apple, iPhone? What's the margin of the iPhone? What's the margin of the Galaxy? Margin. Gross margin. iPhone is around 38%.
But recently jumped to around 42.5%.
Okay, so that's a 38 to 42%. Okay, and then how about at the Galaxy series, Galaxy, Samsung, mobile phone, the margin, Samsung Galaxy phones margin. Yeah, we must be able to play with that artificial. U.com is working. Okay, perfectly. We can play that. 15 to 20. Percent is around, right? Is around right? Samsung Galaxy phone margin. Galaxy 13, 14, around, yeah. Okay, so how around?
The minimum of 29%.
Yeah, okay, that's wrong. Okay, so that must be around here. Around the 15 or the 20%, and however the average margin is around the 38% or the 42%. And however, Xiaomi and Oppo is not much different from the Samsung. Okay, that's around the 15 to 20%. Okay, and however, Apple's margin is almost double. Apple's margin of a product is almost double. That means, okay, they produce this product with a cheaper price, and their price is much higher. Revenue high, cost low. 48%. Margin doubled. Margin. Business. This is so Apple is good at business. What make this Apple is more competitive? What make Apple is more good at business? Competitive advantage. Source of the competitive advantage. Apple's. Okay, good. So this is a situation now, okay? And then all of them compete with Apple in terms of the business. Okay, then how this kind of things can happen at Apple? How Apple make a good business? And Apple had a lot of turmoil, chaos, and they are almost bankrupted many years ago. And Steve Jobs was expelled from the Apple, and he was abandoned by the Apple people. Okay, and he returned back to the Apple, and then there are a lot of stories. Anyway, so Steve Jobs, no matter what, he was a business leader. Okay, good. And how he manage people. Unfortunately, he is not a good guy. Maybe you can see the movie of the Steve Jobs. Yeah, we have a movie about it, the Steve Jobs. And he was born in a very poor family, and he was adopted, and his father was a Syrian, and his mom was something. And then he was adopted, early baby something, and then his life was not easy. Anyway, and he didn't graduate the school, he didn't graduate the college. Anyway, so he struggled a lot, and he was smart, and he learned a lot. Anyway, so then he applied a very unique people management principle in Apple. And then he could establish one of the most competitive business in the world throughout managing those kind of people. Okay, good. And he told these kind of things. You listen to that from the Apple, from the Steve Jobs directly. Okay, and he mentioned about when he was questioned, how do you manage your people? Okay, and then he thought something, and then he asked the return. How many committees Apple have? How many committees? According to Steve Jobs, how many committees? 0. No committee. Why? What is the meaning of the committee? And maybe you are familiar with this beta featuring purpose. Now, anybody has a different jobs, but however, in general, in the workplace, you usually have a lot of business meetings. You don't, okay? So for me, when I was a business manager, when I was a product manager, and then usually more than 60% or the 70% of my job, my time is occupied by meeting, product development, meeting with the supplier, meeting with the sales, meeting with the people, meeting with the something, meeting with the other, meeting with the CFT, meeting with the initiative, meeting for meeting. Okay, why? Because we want to make it. Many times, business meetings is very, very, very important, and that is necessary many times. But however, unfortunately, that meetings justify your no decision. Anyway, so business meetings. And however, do you think that the business meetings is quite productive? Business meetings, when you have a meeting with the boss, okay, and then okay, that's my experiences. Okay, so the boss is here, and you stay here. Many people are here. Okay, and then you raise your hand. Hey, boss, that is wrong. You are totally stupid. You are wrong. Huh? That happens? No. And who usually talk? Manager. Manager talks, and you listen, and then and for 2 hours, man, manager talks. Our manager is always right. Boss is always right. No. Then, why we have this? Oh, because we want to roll our elbow for the boss, and that is quite productive to bring a best idea, and that is the best way to make a collective and the most productive and the most right choices, right decisions. No, that's just exercise of the hierarchy. Boss or the manager just want to show their power. So however, if something is wrong, manager take a responsibility. Oh, I didn't say so. At the meeting, nobody talked to me. Meeting for meeting, and the meeting for something, meeting for nothing. And the purpose of the committee many times, okay, that's for meeting. How many committees we need? Apple has no committee for meeting. Collective decision making, oh, that's a me. Okay. So he thinks so. So no committee meeting, no committee, no extra work, and then how he get things done? Simple. He wanted to make Apple as the largest startup. Startup. What is the meaning of the startup? Startup. Okay. Everybody work. There is a startup. That's a new business. New business. Everybody work together. Awesome. Okay, and however, as the size of the organism is becoming larger, we need a hierarchy, something control or something. However, Steve Jobs, don't believe the hierarchy of something because he hates that. Anybody distribute their authority, anybody distribute their responsibility throughout the collective under the name of the collective decision making. However, the collective decision making is always right. No, managers usually exercise their power, and then they are totally stupid. Okay, that's just for the justification of your stupidity. I think so. That's my experiences. Okay, so then how we avoid that kinds of things? Person in charge. Person in charge. And we have a word in the business world. Oh, many times. Okay, at the meeting. Okay, the manager usually say, "Hey, everybody must work hard. Everybody must solve this problem. Hey, everybody must come together to solve this immediately. Yeah, everybody do that." Right? Sure. Managers usually say that. Okay. However, what is happening? Everybody's work is nobody's work, right? Hey, and then yeah, so everybody's work. You must work. Okay, for example, as a manager, okay, so there is a problem. Okay, hey everybody, hey, fix the problem. Then what will be happening? What do you do? Because there's some work. Who take the responsibility? Who take the ownership? That's how. I don't want to work on that. That's the problem. Everybody's working. So, Steve Jobs, choose a specific person who has a 100% authority and responsibility. Okay, so then, okay, here is a problem. Then here, violent. Can you please fix this problem? Until today, please fix this problem. Violent. That's your problem. In this case, we will solve it. And then if you need something, I'll okay. So I will give you a responsibility, I will give you your work, and I will give you a support. If you need money, if you need people, I will put support. I will please get it. That's it. Okay? That's how Steve Jobs usually give people. Everybody's work. Hey, every Apple employees, you must comply with the ethics something. Okay. What ethics? What compliance? Everybody's work. Okay. Specify that. So then he give a full authority and responsibility. And however, unfortunately, in a large companies like a like a bank, okay, you got a lot of responsibility. However, you got no authority. Right? Oh, unfortunately, that's our reality. Okay, and then in that case, do you want to work? Then you complete that work without any authority. However, you are totally responsible for that. Bullshit. Okay, so then Apple give a responsibility, but however, Apple give a full authority as well. If something is wrong, you take a responsibility. However, if something is wrong, if you need my help, I will fully support. That is your ownership. That is your work. Getting stuff. Please. That's the person in charge. So if there is any problem of the iPhone OS, iOS 15, iOS something, he come to that guy. He come to that person in charge. He come to the person to meet with the person, and he and make an argument. Oh, this big talk argument. Okay, that no, you are not that. That was not equal. No, we must convert that. We must integrate the artificial intelligence in these kind of things. We must do something. And more than 60 or 70% of his time as a CEO, he make a decision. No, he play the ball. No, he meet the large guys. He meet the big guys, and he meet the politician something. No, what his job? He meet with people to talk, and more specifically to argue. Okay? Argue about the better idea. What is the purpose of the argument? To business problem solving. That's it. And then more than 60 or 70% of the CEO or the executive's time is totally occupied by meeting with the people. What kinds of people? To solve problems. That's how we work. Okay? And all these kind of things is summarize this idea. Best idea must win, not hierarchy. Best idea must win. Because, and he mentioned about this. Not hierarchy. The best idea have to win. So otherwise, good people don't stay. Oh, sure. If your CEO or if your manager do not listen to you, okay? Do you want to work for him? Do you want to work for her? Unfortunately, no. Only the mediocre or the only the work for you. But however, active business problem solvers who brings the tons of thousand best idea to address that the problem, they will not work for those managers who do not listen to you. No command and control. Please listen and lead. That's the best way to keep the best people. Sure. And then, unfortunately, okay. So the Huawei and Alibaba, they usually give a relatively stable job security. Stable. Bank is one of the most stable job. Okay. But however, how many percent of people are happy at the bank? Large bank. How many percent of people happy? Why people are not happy at the large corporations, large and stable organization, and how many percent of the state-owned company or how many percent of the government officers they happy? They really work, or just to get the salary? Doing this. Problem solving, what? Not hiding the problem. Okay, so if the organization always looked for the stability, that's the reason, okay? So why we need a hierarchy? Hierarchy is really bad? No. Hierarchy is necessary many times, okay? And what is the purpose of the hierarchy? Stability. And the control. Yes. Just a few number of the leadership controls over these, and then these guys controls over here, and then these guys controls over this, and controls over this. So then just we can exercise that the very strong control over the people, large people, large numbers of the people. Okay, and that gives us a benefit of the stability. Stability. Thank you. Very, very, very thank you. Appreciate that. However, this stability is contradictory in many times. Innovation. Change. Logistics. Disruptive. Continuous. And that's a choice. That's a situation. Okay. What will happen if the bank is unstable? What if the bank is totally disruptive? What will happen if the bank always look for the change? I will not be putting my money at that unstable bank. Also, Silicon Valley Bank, that's quite the innovative that gave us a very big benefit. But what happened? The bank? I lose my money. Okay. So that's a choice. That's a choice. However, innovation, Apple choose the most disruptive innovation because they want to lead the innovation in business world. Better than stability, they always look for the best business problem solutions. They always try to change from innovation. And unfortunately, innovation nature is strong. creative destruction is the nature of the innovation, according to Schumpeter, Joseph Schumpeter. The father of the innovation, Joseph Schumpeter, he described the innovation as creative destruction. Okay. Anyway, so Apple choose innovation, change, disruptions in order to bring the best idea to serve further their missions and goals. And what is the purpose of the Apple business? Why Apple operate their business? I make money, okay. But how the business is okay, make money. But how about what is their mission value? What is their mission statement? Apple, what is the mission of Apple? Change the word, possibly. Okay, yeah, go to the internet and can you please try to find out what is the mission statement of the Apple? High reputation, no. Pardon?
Bring the best user experience.
So they want to bring the best user experience. If they provided the best user experience, they will do whatever they can. No, not okay. What about Apple? And have you ever heard about it? The Apple is now applying for the artificial intelligence. Apple is now adapting the artificial intelligence. They are engaging in the development of artificial intelligence. Probably you never heard that. Because that's unnecessary. Oh, interesting. Okay. Tools are tools, but however, they are serving for their mission. They want to provide the best user experience. What is the identity of the Apple? Apple is a software company or hardware company? Aha, that's not easy. That's a computer company. That's a hardware company, software company. Software? Do you pay for the Apple software? When you buy the MacBook, do you pay for that? Yeah, but however, they are the oh, sure. But however, they are hardware company. Okay. Apple is a hardware company. They provide the hardware, not software. And the software is almost free. Do you pay for the pages? Do you pay for do you pay for the Apple softwares? No, free. They don't make money for their software. Apple is a user experience service provider. They want to provide the best user experience. That's it. No matter what. So then, if they define the mission and something, they define their problem, and then they can bring the best idea to address it. In order to achieve their mission, in order to provide the best user experience, they bring the best idea. If there is a software, they bring the software. If there is a hardware, they bring the hardware. If there is option, okay. iPhone, okay. Computer, yeah. And what is the original idea of why they produced that the first personal computer? They imagined Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, they imagined a very simple idea. What if people have a personal calculator, personal computer on their house? And before that, before the personal computer, we usually use a computer for the business or the large bank or the large weapons, large military actions. However, why everybody has a computer? We can produce tons of thousands better ideas. We can create the more better ideas. they didn't intend to produce the best hardware. No. Technically speaking, Apple's iPhone is that the 100% excellent percent. No. Their strength, their competitive advantage is they provided the best user experience, not technology excellence. Really. Because their mission is providing the best user experience. And then anybody misunderstand Apple is a technology company. Yes, but however, they solve for the user experience rather than technology itself. Okay. So then, because they have a very clear missions and the goals, they could define the problem by themselves, and then they could define their best idea. In order to bring that the best idea, not hierarchy, and they make this kind of the things. They Steve Jobs applied and proposed and applied this kind of principles of the managing people, not stability. Rather than stability, he wanted to look for the better idea, innovation, disruptive, change every day, to solve for the best user experience. And he always looked for the best people. Let them work for this problem solving to solve for the business best user experience. Best idea must win, not hierarchy. Apple. However, many times, many large companies need stability. Hierarchy is necessary. Okay? So, which one is better? Which one is bad? No, there is no good and bad. That's just a choice. Okay. And here, argument. Okay, so that I just our very interesting principles in the business problem solving. We have a rule of this. We have this rule in business problem solving. Obligation to dissent. And what is the meaning of the obligation to dissent? That means, okay, if there is any problem, raise your hand. Raise an issue. Speak up. Participate. And in business consulting, okay, business consultant is the best business problem solvers. Okay, anyway, we are trained like this. Okay, so if we have meetings, if we have a meetings like this, okay, we have a meetings, okay, and then everybody must just bring the idea. And however, sometimes, okay, so we unanimously agree with the best idea. Okay. So everybody happy to a certain very best idea. Oh, that sounds great. That sounds bad. Okay, so we just agree with that. Okay, so then let's go. In that case, what should we do? We crack down. If everybody agree, we scrap. If there is no objection, if there is no problem, if there is no other better solutions, if there is no issue, if there is no something, okay, we scrap the idea because that is not a good idea. Yeah, it sounds crazy, but however, that is our best way to bring up things. If everybody happy with a certain idea, there must be a trap. There must be something wrong. And that kinds of things is really frequently happen when we have a we have a homogeneity. For example, when we have a technical problem solving meetings, okay, and then yeah, because I was engineer, and then whenever we have a business problem, technical problem solving something, and then whenever we have a quality problem, and then yeah, our product is burning when operate, okay, so that we want to address that problem, and then absolutely those experts, okay, those experts to come together to address that problem. For example, I was engineer. I have around the 10 years of the engineering experiences with a master's degree or something, and I'm well trained and I'm a male. Okay, and then almost all the engineers came to the meetings, and then they all usually have very similar to me. 5 or 10 years or 20 years of the job experience as a technical problem solving and the mechanical engineer, electrical engineer, and the electronic engineer. And we know each other, and we are well trained in terms of the technology problem solving. Okay, good. And how about the and the one? And he brings the best idea. Okay, yeah. Yeah, we do it. Whenever we bring that 100% agree the idea, problem solving idea. Because we frequently ignore the hidden zone. We didn't have something important. What is the purpose of the developing new product? To sell. Right? To sell. What is the purpose of the developing new product? To sell. Or even though we produce the best of the best technologically savvy, technology wonderful and advanced something, but if people cannot sell my product, is it worth? No. So then we must listen to the sales. But however, we usually, hey, sales, you have no idea about the problem. Get out. Homogeneous problem. Homogeneous group of people usually think very similar. Then we commonly make an agreement. 100%, everybody, then that idea must be. So we must experiment. So if there is any good idea, participating in objection, raise your hand, raise your issue, identify the hidden problem, and then raise some of the hiding part or blind spot. If there is no such kind of a blind spot, if there is no problem on that idea, there must be participate. And then in this meeting, okay, so when I was in Germany, okay, and then in Korea, when I was in Korea, okay, so I got that hierarchy. Manager talks, we just we are small. However, in Germany, okay, so if I do not say anything, and then my boss, my German boss, hey Jerry, what I do? Get out. If you do not participate in this meeting, you have no interest in problem solving. If you are not interested in this problem solving, get out. And sometimes, okay, so yeah, small guy raise a hand to challenge the boss. Hey, manager, your idea is totally stupid. That is totally wrong. And that I tried that kind of thing, that didn't work. What are you talking about? We do that. Why? Simple. That's our demonstration. The hierarchy. We solve the problem. We want to solve the problem. If you are not interested in solving problem, please don't occupy our resources. We call that is the rule of the obligation to dissent. Your hand, participate, blind spot, identify the blind spot, bring the better idea to address your problem. Okay, that is how we solve our business problems. Really, that's the reason why we argue. argument for fighting? No, argument for business problem solving. Better idea. I need your better idea. That's the idea. Not the hierarchy. Because I'm a CEO, because I'm a manager, because I'm not. No, not because of the position, not because of the rank, not because of the your something. But please, let's bring the best idea to solve our issue. Okay. Oh, absolutely. Okay. So then, actually, the Apple CEO, the Steve Jobs, didn't like this size of the phone because he thought, yeah, no, only hand. Okay, so only one hand must be operated. However, somebody and then anybody, we need more larger something. Larger something. Okay. Yeah, he lost. he lost. He lost his idea. However, people bring the better idea. That's the reason why Apple make a largest market share and the most profitable, highest margin. That's right, must be. Okay, so that's one Apple idea, the two managing people. So then, this is our general overarching understanding about how to manage people in recent modern business organization. Okay, and we will go in detail about it, how we can manage our people. Okay, what is the human resource management, and what kinds of functions we do, and how that kinds of things is outsourced, and how we can focus on the more strategic roles as a people manage. Okay, that's it. Okay, so far, any question? What question? Oh, what? Script. Okay. Give me a second. Okay, so then, so here.
This is Dr. Jerry Choi. This is Thomas Jerry Choi.
Okay, so then can you see the script up here?
I would like to introduce myself as a scholar, practitioner, and the business consultant.
This is script.
And organizational development and management.
So you present something, you make a video, okay, and you explain what is the video. So then you must write down the scenario, you must write down the script.
And I worked as
That's a script.
and project manager for 7 years at the
Or maybe if you don't have that kinds of the one-to-one script, okay, so maybe you can write down explanation of the script.
Two MBAs, one from Germany and the one from Korea. Because the technology itself cannot create the innovation without understanding the money.
Scenario? Scenario is a rough outline of the video. Do you want to do that? So not those script? It depends. But however, I need the evidence. I need the document. How you prepare the video. So okay, so my case, I prepare the PowerPoint. Do I have a PowerPoint like this? Okay, for example, so I prepare the PowerPoint and I write down here my script, and Steve Jobs talks about the how to manage people at Apple. According to Steve, he mentioned about to make the organization as ideal, meaning one, better than hierarchy. Okay? Something like this. So that I make a PowerPoint first, and then I write down my script here. Okay, and copy, that's it, and then I read it. Or I convert that into the PTS, text to the speech software. And so then, that's your choice. So however, I need an explanation, I need a description, how to how to deal with, how to explain this slide, or how to explain your video or idea. So that's a script. No, there's no home. Just word, txt, word, script, whatever you want, just text. Then length, no. No. Are you just concerned about the quality? Okay, so your format is okay. Well, however, usually we better to have a script in the txt file or the script file. Txt file is more general. Okay, txt word txt text file, because when we have that, okay, I cannot show that. Do I have it? No. Okay. iMovie.